SCP-3935. The town of Salvation, Indiana has been evacuated and a fenced 2 km quarantine zone has been established around the center of the town. Roads leading to the nearby town of Evanescence have been removed and rerouted. Foundation personnel are to monitor all known travel routes into Salvation for signs of civilians. Any civilians attempting to enter Salvation are to be remanded in the custody of local authorities. Cover story 3935.18 Hazardous Waste Disaster is currently being disseminated. The building containing SCP-3935 Salvation High School is to be guarded by Foundation security personnel. Under no circumstances are non-authorized personnel to enter SCP-3935. Individuals believed to be affected in any way by SCP-3935 are to be moved to temporary Site 81 near the Evanescence for evaluation. It is currently believed that the original inhabitants of Salvation are unable to reproduce. Deviation from this expectation is to be closely monitored. Exploration into SCP-3935 is currently prohibited. Due to the hazardous conditions within SCP-3935, any future exploration attempts are to be restricted to B-Class personnel only. SCP-3935 is an extratemporal, extraspatial, non-Euclidean space located beneath the Salvation High School in Salvation, Indiana. While SCP-3935 is the designation for the specific anomaly mentioned above, it is believed that the anomaly currently affects the entire town of Salvation, as individuals have reported anomalous events taking place outside SCP-3935 as well. The full extent of these effects is not known. SCP-3935 is reachable only through a collapsed section of sub-basement beneath the Salvation High School, near the northwest corner of the building, below the school's pool. It is believed that SCP-3935 was the source of anomalous activity that took place in Salvation High School in the mid-70s, which was investigated and contained by members of the Federal Bureau of Investigation Unusual Incident Unit, also known as the UIU. Information pertaining to their investigation is available elsewhere in this file. The access point to SCP-3935 proper exists roughly 25 meters below the collapsed section of basement, in a small antechamber containing a stone arch. The original creator of the arch, or how it became buried so far underground in the first place, are the subject of investigation. Inscribed on the arch is a phrase in English, not believed to exist anywhere else in literature. The way below winds deeper, longer, unspeakable its patterns laid. The lost forever damned to wander, this thing a quiet madness made. SCP-3935 was originally discovered following a series of paranormal events that took place within the Salvation High School during the week of June 18, 1976. Sometime after the end of primary anomalous activity period at the school, the collapsed section of wall and floor leading to a narrow gap in the foundation was discovered by a member of the custodial staff. The collapsed wall, which is located in the unspecified basement room below the primary basement, deteriorated even further until the gap in the foundation was large enough that a person could fit into. During an audit of the damage by a contractor, a member of the independent team accidentally slipped and fell into the antechamber near SCP-3935. Without a way to easily extract the individual, their supervisor encouraged them to proceed into SCP-3935 a short distance to see if there was a way out. The individual did not return from SCP-3935. A search was conducted by members of the contractor team and local authorities. When only two of the 11 individuals who entered SCP-3935 returned from the antechamber, and when they began to give accounts of their experiences within, Foundation personnel embedded within local authorities took over the investigation. Over time, anomalous activity began to become more common outside the high school in Salvation. After the events that took place on June 1976, the town officially condemned and the entire populace was relocated. Addendum 3935.2 UIU Field Report. The following is a comprehensive report detailing paranormal activity that took place in the town of Salvation, Indiana, between June 18th and June 23rd, 1976. Agents Carter, Wilson, and Hughes dispatched to site reported activity. Substantial paranormal activity encountered. Additional resources requested and employed cover for paranormal activity. No reported involvement by SCP Foundation or its agents. No reported involvement by Global Code Coalition or its agents. No reported involvement by any other notable entities or their agents. After ascertaining the scope of the reported paranormal activity, dispatched agents applied doses of Chemical 110 to the entire population of Salvation. All inhabitants accounted for, and moved to processing center in Indianapolis for further analysis. Quarantine established around Salvation. After extensive interviews in the population of Salvation, the following timeline of paranormal activity has been constructed from these eyewitness accounts. Sunday night, 10th grade students reported hearing what they described as someone trying to speak under the ground and passing by the school on their way home from a Sunday night church service. One of the students reported this to their mother, who ignored it. During an 11th grade gym class, a student claims he can hear voices coming from underneath the pool. Several other students corroborated the story. When school officials came to investigate, they did not discern anything unusual. Notably, the lining at the bottom of the pool appears cracked. Several female students report seeing faceless things instead of their own reflections in the mirror of a second-story bathroom during the passing period. They do not seem bothered by this, however. During the lunch announcements, many students describe being able to hear a third voice speaking unintelligibly below the broadcast. The PA room sits in the media center near the pool, less than 40 meters from the entrance of the sub-basement room and collapsed wall. Tuesday, the students arriving to the school notice that the Indiana state flag is more than 3 meters above the flagpole, attached to nothing. The American flag is not found. When observed, students claim that they can also see 9 female figures hanging by ropes in the flagpole, which disappear immediately after being seen. During a freshman biology class, one student suddenly stands, is seen rolling their eyes back into their head and descending suddenly into the floor out of sight. They reappear shortly after above a ceiling panel in the corner of the room. Despite being unable to identify the student, several of his classmates insist it was just a joke. Several students described seeing a student they did not recognize at school on Tuesday. When pushed to give details of the student's appearance, none were able to do so. Apparently, the only defining characteristics of the student was a purple satchel with the word syncope written on the side with white embroidery. A custodian reports seeing something standing at the pool staring at him. Wednesday. Upon arriving at the school, the maintenance staff and custodians note that there is 2 inches of water across the school, all levels of the school. Inexplicably, the school's principal decides not to close the school. At 7:56 a.m., the entire school hears someone whisper the word "hello" into their right ear. Members of the school band realize their instruments no longer produce any sound. However, when played, students report seeing a small, black, human-shaped thing flickering in and out of view in the corner of the room, facing the wall. One student witnesses a dark figure walking up and down from the stool through the air at an impossible angle. Eventually, the figure disappears from sight and is never seen again. No other students address this. During the gym class, the student avoids a dodgeball when it phases through him, as he begins to sink to the floor. He screams for help, but nobody he noticed seems motivated enough to help him. The entire stool shifts up roughly a foot from its foundations at 11:23 a.m. The vice principal sent to inspect it describes something small with too many faces grinning at him from underneath the building, before the stool slowly resettles. The boys' locker rooms disappear and are replaced by something that streamed. Witnesses are unable to provide any further detail. As the students leave the school for the day, they see 9 young women hanging in the air, tilted forward at a 45-degree angle, roughly 25 meters above the school's parking lot. They can be seen silently mouthing words. All witnesses describe their appearance as both ugly and unremarkable. They vanish at 3 p.m. Majority of the residents describe hearing a child's voice saying the word "hello" below them at this time. A panic ensues as town officials have no response for the woman in the sky. The principal decides to close the school on Friday. The entire student body shows up for school on Friday, being unable to get into the school due to the doors being locked. They assemble outside the front door and wait. No individuals in this group to describe why they are there. There is a knock on the window, and the entire student body sees a small black humanoid form standing outside a second-story classroom. The figure begins to phase in and out the window. The figure then disappears and begins to phase out of other windows. Witnesses describe its movement as jerky, erratic, and spasmodic. The figure disappears and the front door unlocks itself. The student body then enters the school. At this moment, the interior of the school has now become non-Euclidean. As the students approach the back of the space, they realize they are moving down, not into. All students now hear whispers, and someone at the edge of the group hear drums in the distance. In the distance, they see the archway leading to SCP-3935. Suddenly, the entire mass of students shifts 50 meters outside the space and are suddenly encased in rock and earth. The students spend roughly 20 seconds trapped in this area before reappearing back in the school. All students report being the only one in the building, and after wandering through the hallways for a short time, coming across a doorway below a doorway, and entering the small sub-basement room. Inside the students report seeing 3 separate visions. A woman crouched over a body of water, blood surrounding her feet and arms extended into the water up to her elbows, a farmhouse in the middle of a grove of trees that is burning, while 9 humanoid figures hang in the air overhead, a weeping woman digging a field until her hands begin to rot and fall apart. Once the visions subside, the small black humanoid appears. Students hear the entity say the word hello, and are immediately surrounded by 9 screaming female figures, and they're suddenly in their own homes. As additional agents begin to enter the town and apply a message to their subjects, additional anomalous activity is reported around the town. Several individuals report seeing bodies hanging in the sky. Several individuals report turning their taps on and human hair and mucus flow out instead of water, while others reported seeing faceless creatures in town. Several individuals reported as if their facial features had completely disappeared, while several others report seeing faceless creatures in the town. A completely still black humanoid entity is seen frantically appearing and reappearing in rapid succession up and down again down the main thoroughfare of the town. One unidentified woman reports seeing a weeping young woman running back into the school building. After following her into the now unlocked sub-basement, she is unable to find the young woman, but is the first to report the collapsed floor. Over the next few days, UIU and message regimens begin to take effect. Most of the townspeople are readily convinced that the things they saw were just hallucinations as a result of toxic gases from a blown south from a factory plant to the north. At the end of the next week, contractors assessing the damage to the store discovered the sub-basement room, as well as the entrance to 3935. Foundation involvement began shortly thereafter. The following are incidents of anomalous activity in Salvation, Indiana, reported by staff during the Foundation's occupancy of the town. Reports of a figure dressed as a UIU agent who tries to direct individuals towards the high school. This figure disappears to observe for too long. An agent reported seeing a small black figure sitting underneath his vehicle upon approaching. After it looked beneath the vehicle, the figure was not there. Afterwards, the agent always reports seeing the black figure in his peripheral vision. Many reports of sounds coming from a grove of trees near the high school. Examination of the grove returned only a dilapidated one-bedroom house and 9 female figures in the backyard. The appearance of 9 hidden female figures drives off the exploration team. Further examination of the grove was unable to locate the house. After dark, many agents report seeing 9 female humanoid entities jerkily moving forward towards them in the dark, only to slide into the earth or fade away before reaching them. Several reports of similar figures up in the trees. Reports of several bodies, no more than 9 at a time, that float from the bottom of a small pond outside the town and rest at the surface of the water before sinking and disappearing, likely connected in some way to the 9 observed that appeared behind the house in the grove.